This is August 20th. I'm just making a video recording note of what I've done. I tried to fire the cannons, and in doing so I discovered that I had like 7 of them that weren't working. And I could never get this very last one over here to fire, and no matter what. And then find that this one, the igniter was always glowing. Let's see, that's the last one? Yeah, it's this one. So I had the impression that that's where the distributor was stopping and not getting over to this one. So I took all the guns out. I cleaned them with the solvents and black powder remover, and cleaned up and reshaped all the igniters, and really made that a focus of not being my weak spot. And then I loaded it all up, and I discovered that I still had like about 6 guns that weren't firing. So I started working on the battery, and I discovered that even though the nickel metal hydride battery does not have the ability, or it's not very easy to get a memory in it, it really was a weak battery. I discovered that it would only take about 5 minutes to charge it up, but it barely would run a little electric motor that I created right here. So what I ended up doing was I ran down the battery until, well, not dead, but I mean I ran the motor down to where I could start to hear the RPMs dropping, then charged up the battery, and I went through that cycle about 6 times. I now have a battery that's really strong, and I think the way it was supposed to be. But my experience with all my other electric boats is that once a battery gets a little sick, it's always suspicious. So I sent away for 2 new ones, and I don't have them yet, but more on that later. The thing about this last gun not firing, I would go into the deck and then over into the front of the bow below decks is the manifold, or I call it a distributor because it's very much like a distributor. There's a servo or a motor on the bottom that rotates an arm, and that would come by little contact points, and each one of those contact points is one of these guns. And found it fun getting to that, and took it out, well, not out, but over, and I was able to loosen up one of the Allen nuts and actually pop the distributor arm up so I could jump the teeth and get the thing to where it was just sitting before one of the contacts, and then dry running it with the servo motor. I discovered that I was going all the way through all the contacts and all the way back, and in each point at the end point and start point, I was now sitting on plastic and not on one of the contacts. Also, the arm, for some reason, wasn't putting a lot of pressure, or very much pressure at all, against the contacts, and while I had the arm out, I bent it down just a little bit to where now I have good friction all the way around. Upon doing that, I ended up putting it all back together, and I've discovered that, you know, I need to do tests, and that flash cotton has been a way to actually do sort of like dry firing. I can sit right here in front of the barrels with a little bit of flash cotton in there and not worry about it getting on me. There's no noise. It's just a little pooch, and a little teeny smoke comes out, and it's like, okay, so that barrel worked. So now I'm in my show-off mode. I've put a little flash powder in each one of the barrels, and then I took 2 or 3 squares of flash paper and stuck that in there. So now I'm actually expecting to see a little bit of a fire show. So I have a battery for the carronades that isn't fully charged because I've been testing it for the last few hours, but I feel that it's strong enough to do this. The last time I fired these with the flash cotton in there, I had 4 carronades that did not go off on the initial cycle up, but I discovered on the cycle back 2 of them went off and then I cycled it through one more time, and then I got 16. So ultimately, my goal is to get them to all fire all 16 on the first pass without having to come back through it. But I'm going to wait until I get the new battery to deal with that, because as I've cycled through the battery, my tests are getting better, and I look at the glow plugs when I'm running them through there, and I don't see them glowing. They're just evidently getting a little bit warm. The only time I saw a glow heater heat up is when the arm was sitting on this one, on that distributor. When it got to this one, and then it sat there, then it would just kind of glow a little dark orange. And I kind of thought that it should have been a whiter hot look. So I still am suspicious that I'm not getting enough juice out of the battery. More on that later. So in 3, 2, 1, when I count down, I'm going to start the cannon, carronades off, and it will start at the bow, and they'll work their way across. And I'm sitting in front of this barrel. I'll probably want to move, because like I say, now that I've got flash paper in there, I'm not really sure what my effect is going to be. So I am now where I want to be. I'm safe. And 3, 2, 1. Well, I'm going to put my radio down, and I'm going to see if I can find out how many haven't fired, because it looked really good this time. I got 1, 2, 3 misfires. So that's the best one yet. So with 3 misfires, let me now cycle back through the distributor and see if that fires them. Fired 2, that just leaves 1. Now I'm going to go back forward through them again. And I'm going to then go back. Alright, it appears that I only have 1 barrel that did not fire, but that's, again, pretty good. I would be real happy coming in for a reload with only 1 or 2 cannons not working at this point. But again, I'll get the better battery in there, and I'll do this test and see if I'm better. However, I noticed that I've got a lot of paper wads on the ground here, so even though the flash powder went off, it wasn't enough to actually light the paper. That's interesting, but I just did that for dramatic effect. Again, flash paper, I can sit in a chair in front of it and go through this and actually look at it really close when it's going on, and it works well. That's it. Bye.